Welcome to the Golden Visa in Portugal, Villanova Fund 350,000 euros program webinar. It's a huge pleasure to be with all of you today. My name is Francisco Valente Oliveira and I'm an executive board member at Bison Bank. We have here today also Sara Sousa Rebolo, which is a partner and lawyer at Caiado, Guerreiro, international law firm based in Portugal. Also, we have António Aranha, which is the board member of Lynx Asset Managers. Together with António, it's Furtado Mendonça, also a technician and structured products fund manager at Lynx Asset Manager. And finally, we have Nuno da Rocha Correia, which is managing director and head of client management at Bison Bank. So before I pass the words to my colleagues, I will present very briefly Bison Bank. Bison Bank belongs to Bison Group. Bison Group is a group that was started 15 years in Asia. It started with the development and growth of the healthcare, media, insurance, and asset manager area. And then there was the need to enlarge the group into a financial institution. And there was the opportunity to buy a license here in Portugal. This license purchase of this license started in 2016. It was when I joined the group, and it ended in 2018 where previous license was acquired and we changed the name to Bison Bank. So Bison Bank is a bank mainly focused to do the bridge between Europe, Asia, North America, South America, Africa, Emirates, and it's mainly focused on international clients. Of course, we also take care of local clients, but it's mainly focused on international clients and make the bridge between all of these continents. Our main focus is mainly based in three areas. It's client management, wealth management, and investment banking. And on the client management area, where Nuno da Rocha Correia, that we have here today, is the head. It's an area where we take care of the local and international clients in order to perform and help and advise on any banking services. Also, the client management department takes care of the depository and custody area where we have a total of more than 1 billion of assets under management. And then we have the wealth management area where clients can have their wealth managed through to discretionary portfolio management, through advisory, and also through the execution of any securities in the world. And finally, the investment banking area is where we have our DCM expertise. We have been joint lead managers and global lead managers for more than $7 billion of issuers from Hong Kong. So we are a part of the placers that place this type of bonds in Europe. And we have also the M&A area and also the evaluations area, being the corporate area that all is included in investment banking. So this is Bison Bank. Bison Bank also is the depository and custody bank from the Villanova Fund that is going to be presented today. And a very important part for this presentation is also the legal part, where Sara Sousa Rebolo, with their expertise, will present all the important issues for the Golden Visa. So Sara, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Francisco. Also, thank you for the invitation to be here speaking in this webinar about the Portuguese Golden Visa program and the option of investment of funds. And thank you to our attendees for sharing this moment with us. So, as Francisco mentioned, I'm a lawyer. I'm the partner and the head of the immigration department at Caiado Guerreiro law firm, a firm that is established for 40 years in the Portuguese market. Besides our immigration department, that is one of the strongest ones in Portugal, the law firm provides a multi-jurisdictional practice with different departments and area of expertise to support the client in a 300 perspective. Besides that, I'm also the president of the Portuguese Migration Investment, very experienced in the Portuguese Golden Visa and other immigration programs since 2009. Our offices are in Lisbon, the headquarters, and besides that, we also have presence in Porto and Algarve in Portugal to cover all the Portuguese territory, besides local representations in Angola, Mozambique, and also in Malta and Beijing, China. In terms of the Golden Visa program, that's why we are here today. I will try to explain you the legal perspective of the program and all the requirements that are important to fulfill in order to have a smooth process and an approval in the shorter time. So basically, in terms of background, the Portuguese Golden Visa program was established in 2012. So far, it has been updated periodically, always to improve the program, the options of investment, and to turn it more clear and stable and flexible for the investors. It's important to highlight that the program combines investment and immigration. So basically, the main point is the investor that will provide a specific kind of investment in the Portuguese territory will be entitled to receive a residency permit. That residency permit can be requested without a prior visa, so it's a very special proceeding comparing to the others immigration routes. You can request a golden visa directly without going to the consulate to request a residency visa. It is also one of the most attractive schemes in Europe and also in the world because of the flexibility. Only requests a presence of 7 days a year regarding the investor. To keep the program and to keep the golden visa and to access in the end to a potential permanent residency or European citizenship. The card itself, the program is called Golden Visa, but it's actually a card that is granted. It's not like a visa in the passport, and allows then, it works like a Schengen visa in order to allow the holders to circulate in Schengen area. And important also to highlight that the Portuguese program allows a very amplified family reunification. So with one investment, in Portuguese territory, the investor can actually reunify and get the residency cards and the same rights to the spouse, to the children, and also to the parents and parents-in-law. By holding the cards, the investor and the family, they can benefit from the healthcare in Portugal, social protection and the educational system. And as I mentioned, this is a residency program because we do not have directly citizenship programs, but in the end of the 5th year, the holders, they can apply for the Portuguese citizenship. The program itself has 8 options of investments that we can divide mostly in the financial option. That includes a simple capital transfer or the investment in venture capital funds. That is what we will be discussing in detail today. Besides that, we have the option of jobs creation, and another option that is more connected with corporate investments in terms of acquisition of shares or company incorporation and creation of job positions. And then the option that is the most common since the beginning, although losing a little bit of the interest during the COVID timings, the real estate option, where we can divide into 2 options, the $500,000 investment in any kind of real estate and the option of 350 in an old real estate for refurbishing purposes. And then 2 of the most rare options to find, the investment in activities of artistic output or maintenance of the national patrimony, and also the investment in research activities for 350 that so far are not the options that the investors are liking more. They prefer or the real estate or since 2019-20 mostly a huge increase in terms of the venture capital option. So as I mentioned, we have what we call the top of the options of investment that the investors have preference so far since the beginning. The capital transfer, the investment in the venture capital funds, the acquisition of real estate, or the real estate for rehabilitation works. In terms of the option of investments in funds, that's our topic today. It's important to highlight that it's possible to invest in 2 types of funds: the investment funds per se, or the venture capital funds. The most important thing when doing the analysis, because different from what happened in other countries where we can have a list of assets that are eligible, here there are not such lists. So there are not a pre-approval by the immigration office. So it's very important to have the legal support in order to make the validation of the fund that you are choosing to make your investments. So it's important to analyze and to verify that the fund you select, it's dedicated for business capitalization. This needs to be the main purpose of the fund. The fund must have a maturity of at least 5 years, and at least 60% of the investments made by the fund, so the capitalization, should be in Portuguese headquarters companies. So companies that have their headquarters in Portugal, and the other 14% can be in any companies abroad or inside Portugal. The areas of activity of such companies are not relevant for this purpose. So they can be on the real estate side, they can be on the technological side, startup companies, health, a lot of variety in terms of sectors, because the important here is that the fund purpose is the capitalization, and it has a business plan to make that capitalization of the companies. Also important, the Portuguese regime will be subject to an amendment. Okay, that amendment is already approved, but will only enter into force in January 2022. And the main concerns and the main changes, besides the ones that will affect the real estate option in terms of introducing some geographic restrictions, we have here the changes that will affect, in particular, the fund option. And basically the main difference that will occur is that from a minimum amount of investment of 350, that the investment must prove and comply before starting the Golden Visa application. From January 2022, this amount of investment will raise to 500,000. So it's a big difference, and it's also because of this that this year a lot of applicants are deciding to start the application during the first semester or during the second semester, so that they can take advantage of the current regime instead of subject to this increase, where they will be subject to a 500,000 investment to be granted with the Golden Visa from January next year. In terms of steps and timings, which is something also very important to consider when doing the Golden Visa, not only to prepare all the application and documents in time, but also to manage expectations, and eventually for families that are doing the Golden Visa to relocate to Portugal to decide their life plans. It's important so to establish what are the steps. Smoothly application must follow. In this purpose, I would say that the step that is the preliminary one is the one where the investor will choose the option of investment. Choosing the option of investment, then it's important to hire the legal advisor in Portugal, to hire the tax representative. All non-European residents, they must have a tax representative in Portugal to make the bridge between them and the Portuguese tax authority, and also to select a bank in Portugal to open the bank account and to use for purpose of investment. In this regard, and as I mentioned already, the issue of the tax representative, it's important to say that the Portuguese Golden Visa does not have a tax impact, a direct tax impact in the tax residency of the holders. And that's why, because the holders will only be subject to a minimum of staying in Portuguese territory of 7 days. So they will be registered in Portugal, they will have a Portuguese taxpayer number, but as a non-tax resident, meaning that they do not have to fulfill any declarations in Portugal in terms of tax income, unless they receive any Portuguese income here. And in that case, the declaration only regards to Portuguese income and not to the worldwide income. So unless they decide to relocate definitely or to change tax residency to Portugal, the Golden Visa has no tax impact in their situation. And the same applies eventually for a future citizenship. So after this preliminary step, we then have what is the most bureaucratic and time-consuming stage in terms of the Golden Visa program. It's where we start with the due diligence, meaning that we will analyze, the legal advisor will analyze the option of investment selected by the investor in order to confirm that he's eligible for the Golden Visa and that his interests are fully protected. In these terms, we also have at this moment what we call the legal package. So all the documents that the immigration process will require from the investor and also from the family members to sign and be ready in order to prepare the application. At the same moment, what we will suggest to the client is, in Portugal, we will be dealing with the capital transfer in order to conclude the investments, and the client locally will start preparing the personal documents. We will explain a little bit later in this presentation the documents, but it's important here also to confirm with the local authorities the time that they are taking to issue such documents, and also the time they are taking to make the formalities that will make such documents valid in Portugal before the Portuguese authorities. So going to step number 3, what we have the investment itself. So the capital is already in Portugal, so it's ready to conclude, the investor is ready to conclude the investment. We have then the subscription forms in terms of the fund that our colleagues today will also explain the details. We have the transfer of capital, and we will then achieve to the proof of investments. The proof of investment will be done through a bank declaration from your Portuguese bank where you open your bank account, and also from a declaration from the management entity that makes the management of the fund that you selected, in order to prove that you are the holder of the participation units and that you have used foreign capital for this in the minimum amount of 350. And finally, the most desirable step, that is the application for the Golden Visa. So we can here divide it into two small steps. Okay? The first step is the online stage. This online stage means that you do not need to come to Portugal for filing it, which means that all the steps that we did so far does not require you to stay in Portugal, and that's why also the fund option is so attractive and special during COVID times, because the investors can do it, they can save time, they can save traveling costs, and file the Golden Visa without being in Portugal. This online stage will be a preliminary analysis made by the Immigration Office, where all the documents of the application will be filed, including investment documents and personal documents. So far, already with COVID timings, they are taking around 3 to 4 months to have this analysis and to give a feedback. When they give a feedback, if everything complies with the requirements, it's a notification of acceptance. And this means that we are ready to go to step number 2, which is the in-person visit to Portugal, where all the family members and the investor must come to collect biometric data, to deliver the forms and the hard copies of the documents already updated and valid. This appointment basically can be booked at any time, okay, considering your availability to come to Portugal, but also the available slots from the side of the Immigration Office. Which for this year, although they are being opening some slots periodically, we expect that most of them will become available for October and the following months. In this diligence, as mentioned, you will collect biometric data, so it's a very short trip. 1 day it's enough, but of course we recommend to stay more so that you can enjoy a little bit of the country. And the timing for the approval will start from this day of the visit to the Immigration Office. The timings of approval, they can be a little bit different, because regardless to the place where you do the investment or open your bank account, you can choose an Immigration Office branch to go, and each Immigration Office has their own processing timings. So there are Immigration Office with more pending applications and other ones that can have less applications, so they can decide faster, which means that we usually say that an approval after this biometric collection day will be between 6 to 12 months, already with COVID timings, and as soon as the COVID comes better and is coming in Portugal, we expect that those timings are reduced. In terms of documents and costs, important for all the adults and all the applicants, the passport. In terms of all the adults, the criminal record from the birth country, and also from the country where you are living or your family members in the last 1 year. And in terms of the investor, we then have special documents, including the proof of the local tax number, as well as the entry and legal stay in national territory when you come to Portugal. Important to say that the preliminary analysis that we mentioned before has a cost charged by the Immigration Office of 533. It's the analysis fee that you will pay when you file the application, and when you have the approval and you request the issuance of the card itself, we will have a cost per person of 5,325. In terms of the family members, besides the standard documents like the passport and criminal records, we have the proof of the family connection. So we have birth certificates, marriage certificates according to the situation, and then special documents that can apply in case your son or your daughter has 18 years old or more, or your parents or parents-in-law have less than 65 years old. So in such case, there are special documents that we have to file and to attach to the application, showing that they are economically dependent on the investor in order to be accepted in the family reunification process. Also important in this point to highlight that the family reunification can be done at any time, which means that if the investor starts the application now, after even next year with all the changes of the rules has no relevance and no implication in family reunification process. So you can start this year and reunify family members in the next year without any problem. In terms of statistics, almost ending the presentation, just to highlight the number of residency permits that were granted so far. We are here almost in the 10,000 residencies just for main investors, with the top 10, with the top 5 of applicants coming from China, followed by Brazil, Turkish, South Africa, and Russia. And these are cumulative numbers, so it's the cumulative top 5. If we are seeing just the last 1 year or the last 2 years, we can see that, for instance, North America and UK applicants from United Kingdom are also increasing, and in a bigger proportion in terms of the global numbers. In terms of family reunification, 16,000 cards granted, and then here all these numbers, they regards to the options of investment selected, and as mentioned before, we have here the top 4, that is the real estate investment in the both options, standard real estate for $500,000 or the 350 for all real estates, followed by the fund route, the acquisition of participation units, and then the simple transfer of capital of 1 million. A question that is very important: what happened after 5 years? So the Golden Visa by tradition is a program of 5 years, because usually the first card has 1 year validity, then it's renewed for a 2 years card, and then it's renewed for a 2 years card. Important to say that during 2021 and expectedly for 2022, the first card was issued for 2 years validity, okay, which means 2 + 2 + 2, just to avoid, also because of COVID, having the demand of coming to Portugal so often. So in the end of the 5th year, regardless the card is still valid or no, we have some options, and such options are: if you want to keep the Golden Visa, you can keep renewing it. For that, you just need to fulfill the requirement of keeping your investment without any charges. Or if you want, you can apply for a permanent residency, which is a 5 years card, or you can apply for the Portuguese citizenship. It has no tax implication unless you relocate to Portugal. And for both Portuguese citizenship and permanent residency programs, you should comply with an additional requirement that regards to the Portuguese language. In this case, it's basic Portuguese from the European level A2. In terms of the Portuguese passport, just two final highlights: that it's one of the most important passports globally, so it's usually ranked between 4th and 5th place, considering the number of countries that he grants access without prior visa or just a visa at the arrival. So in terms of mobility, is very important, especially in these times of COVID. And also important to say that if for some reason the investor or the spouse of the investment, they give birth in Portugal by holding a Golden Visa card, the children will be immediately entitled to the Portuguese citizenship. So this is like a long perspective and a long planning in terms of the family and the access to European universities and European mobility. The Portuguese program, when comparing to other options of programs of investment, so the family reunification, as we mentioned before, the scope that is included is very large. So we have the spouse, the children, the adult children with more than 18 years old, the investor's parents or the spouse parents. We have also the possibility of doing the investment not directly in terms of individual person, but also through a Portuguese limited company, a sole shareholder company. We have also the possibility in some options like the real estate to start with a promissory agreement instead of the definitive acquisition, especially in cases where we have the real estate under construction or in an off-plan situation. This is a first step, as mentioned, to the Portuguese nationality and consequently to the European citizenship. And as mentioned in the beginning, and also important to highlight, the golden visa holder is only requested to stay 7 days per year in Portugal. So in terms of the benefit and the cost, it's something very attractive. And finally, why Portugal? For sure, I will not say nothing that you will not see by yourself when you are coming, but I can highlight some aspects. So we are the most welcoming European country in the world, according to International, which is something very good. You will feel home here. The local community makes an effort to well receive the foreigners. We have the foreign communities already integrated in the local ones, so it's very good. We are also the third safest country in the world according to the World Peace Index, which is very important considering the family perspective and the current timings. According to Forbes, Portugal is the best country to live, to retire, or just to visit after COVID-19. And I would say even during COVID-19, it's the safest country considering the good work that our authorities are doing. Connected with this, the highlights to the accessible and international healthcare system, the political stability and the social rights that all the holders of the cards, the residency cards, will be entitled to, and the freedom of expression with religious, sexual, racial tolerance and appreciation of the female leadership, which is very important, and you can see in the companies, in the universities, and it's something to appreciate. Connected also and important to distinguish the strong international alliances that we have with Europe, with America, also with Asia and with South America. And in terms of considering the perspective, we have 7 Portuguese universities for such a small country in the world rankings in terms of universities. We are also, according to some studies, a very good country to invest, namely in real estate or in some options that are available. And just to end the 9 years of history that we have, being one of the oldest countries formed in Europe. Thank you so much. I would pass the words to Mr. António so that he can enlighten us about this available option for Golden Visa, the Villanova Fund, which seems to be very attractive.
Hello, my name is António Aranha. Thanks to everybody. I want especially to thank to Mr. Francisco and to Sara for their presentation before. And as they said, I'm board member of Lynx Asset Managers, will manage the Villanova Private Equity Fund. So I've started working on Millennium BCP 31 years ago, and I've moved in 2008 to start this company. So Lynx is an independent company held by, and all the majority of shareholding belongs to the management team. It was founded in 2008 and is working under the supervision of the Portuguese Securities Market Commission. We cover almost all the range of funds in our activity. The assets under management at the end of 2020 reached more than 1,074 million euros through 46 investment funds, but we believe that at the end of this year we will reach a significant higher level. Our organization is very simple. The board is very close to the main departments, the commercial department, the financial and back office team, all the real estate and private equity structure team, and all the investments that are looking at every moment to the markets around the world. We have in the middle of these 46 funds under management, we have 4 open-end mutual funds, 2 specialized alternative investment funds, one of them is a forest fund, 8 real estate closed-end funds, 14 SICAFs, which is more or less a real estate fund company managed as a company, and 18 private equity and venture capital fund. But focusing right now on the Villanova, which is a fund that complies with the Golden Visa requirements, I will explain a little bit about our fund. But mainly, I will start with this opportunity, we saw this opportunity when we saw the aging of the European population, and we look at the silver economy that with people with more than 50 years represents 32% of the European GDP. So all the economics supports our future business. And why choose Portugal to establish this kind of business? As Sara has mentioned on their presentation, well, we are increasing our international reputation and our political stability. We have a position as the third world's safest country. Our passport is the sixth best passport around the world. Our climate is very good, but I will say another thing that is very important, and Sara forgotten to mention, that our gastronomy and our wine is a tremendous adventure to taste here in Portugal. Our opportunity is also based on our lower costs. There's no inheritance and gift tax and no wealth tax, and there are around 60 double taxation treaties to protect our residents. Our concept is to develop every kind of business related to the senior healthcare. So we will develop 4 kinds of real estate and servicing infrastructures for those who have an independent living, for those who needs already assisted living, for those with some memory disease like Alzheimer and Parkinson, so it is the assisted living and memory care, and the nursing care. So we have an ambitious growth from 1,000 senior residents. We need to grow to 2,000 beds by 2030. We will manage this under a private equity fund. All the money we can raise for real estate expansion, for all those infrastructures. Our geographic priorities are the Greater Lisbon, but also Algarve, Braga, Aveiro, Porto, and Leiria. At the moment, this is the first phase. We will raise 30 million euros to put into this business. But our future expectations is grow up to 150 million to 200 million euros. Create our brand Momentus Senior and Memoville, and also having a social impact by giving assisted social program at a very low cost to this Santa Casa da Misericórdia, which is a very old institution for poor created by our Queen almost 5 centuries ago. And sustainability. All our construction units are respecting and promoting decarbonization and following the ESG concept. Some of our projects, just to give you an idea, it is building of Cascais that is under construction, and the services providing is from nursing, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, hairdresser, a doctor 2 times a week, physical therapy, laundry services, a local for prayers, occupational therapy, geriatric bath, a balanced eating, and individual rooms. Another kind and another business is an hotel, an health hotel based on Estoril. We are transforming into a health hotel. So the concept is a client come, making his own check-in, during the staying, make a checkup, and then go away and make the checkout. The services are nursing, doctor, physical therapy, occupational therapy. There are a swimming pool and gardens and different kinds of rooms. But this is a new concept to be developed inside this fund. Also in Algarve, and Algarve is mainly looking at our non-residents that will visit us and will choose to stay their retirement year in Portugal. So we are starting this kind of project with a premium healthcare, also with nursing, hairdresser, physical therapy services, everything, but with a high level of servicing. So, in summary, the fund, there are the fund and technical data to show you. The fund, the complete fund, is the Villanova Fund Capital de Risco. You can find here also the European code, the ISIN code, the fund manager, our scope, the target, and the target for unit B is to reach 3% on a year basis, and the fund maturity is 2030. This is for qualified investors. The minimum ticket is 50,000 euros. Eligible for Golden Visa is 350,000 euros until, as Sara told to you, until December 2021. After January, it will be a little bit higher, and it should be moved to 500 million euros of investment. There are no subscription fee, no exit fee. The fund fees that's no influence on unit Bs. I will explain why. And after getting your residence card, you can ask for the exit with a pre-advice of €1. In terms of tax aspects, for residents in Portugal is 10%, and for non-residents is 0%. Your exit taxation is 0%. The risk, in terms of risk, the promoters have already subscribed the A-type shares that are subordinated to the unit type B shares, which are sovereign regarding the payment of dividends and the exit of the fund. So for a more detailed information, you can find a more complete presentation in our Lynx site. For the onboarding procedures, please, I will ask for my colleague Francisco that can explain all the procedures for having your subscription underway.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, António, for your introduction. My name is Francisco Mendonça. I started my professional life in the post-war in Africa, Angola, and I settled a company, a distribution of food and beverage. I helped develop the company. Then I came back to Portugal and took another challenge. It took me for 10 years in Southeast Asia, mainly Macau. I was then invited to come back to Portugal, and I'm with Lynx for 3.5 years now, and that's have been my way until now. So I'm here to help to tell everyone how is the onboarding for the Villanova is going to be proceed, or what's the procedures. And it all starts with the identification documents that was already, probably I'll be repeating myself, since Sara and probably Nuno with Bison Bank will still say the same thing, but the main identification documents, passport, the tax ID number, which will always need the native also, and the Portuguese, proof of profession or retirement, proof of address, and this will be common for all the entities involved in this fund. Then we need, more specifically, proof of bank account and proof of social funds, mainly because it's the way for tracking money. That's what the European Union now wants. All the demands they want to be complied. It's the anti-money laundering, and this is a way for us to feel more comfortable, to show that we try to comply with all these demands. Then what are the documents that we Lynx are also obliged to have, which will be client data sheets, a client knowledge and surveillance and experience survey, which will allow us to classify the investors. Since this fund is addressed to professional investors, this survey will be quite important for us to see where is the investor situated. Source of funds declaration, this will just be a simple document that will be signed by the clients, stating where the funds he's investing are coming from. And the subscription form. The subscription form will be done in 3 ways, which will be one for us, Lynx, one for the depository bank, Bison Bank, and the third copy will be given back to the investor with a shop of or the proof that it was deposited in his account. The requirements to be eligible as a professional investor, which is mandatory for this fund, or to subscribe this fund, need to fulfill at least 2 of the 3 points that I'm pointing here. Have traded at least 10 times per quarter in the last 4 quarters, a capacity of at least 500,000 euros, or have performed a role in a financial sector for at least 1 year. So for us to be able to classify an investor as a professional one, the investor will need to at least comply with 2 of these points, 2 of these 3 points. It's important for us. We might need, and that's why we point here, we might need supporting documents. This will allow us to classify or not the investor. It will be easier if the client fulfills two of these requirements, but there's another one, which is through requests. And for that, we have several documents which are not more than a transaction of communications with classification that was given, and the whole way to be able to change that classification and allow the investor to invest, which pass through this change of requests for being treated as a professional investor when is not considered so. So this is the main things, the main documents, the main points that we need to see clarified. This, our experience tells us that might be a point of confusion for many of the clients or investors, but we are here to take or to clear any doubt. So please feel free to get all your doubts. We will answer as soon as we can, as fast as possible. For me, Lynx, it's all. I will just pass the word to Nuno on Bison Bank, and thank you all.
Thank you, António, for the presentation. This is indeed a very, very nice fund for our clients in the sector that has been growing a lot. So thank you for sharing this with us. Well, hi, my name is Nuno. I'm the head of client management. I take care of clients here in Portugal. Welcome to our country. Welcome to Portugal. Welcome to the Portuguese Golden Visa program. It's a pleasure to have you here. And ourselves here in Bison Bank and in client management, what we do is we onboard clients from all over the world. We open accounts for clients all over the world. Today, we have more than 500 clients from 70 different countries, well, from Indonesia to Chile, from Russia to South Africa, from Brazil to UK, and also from the United States, because we are FATCA compliant and we welcome US persons, US citizens. So you are all very welcome to be our clients and to be with us for the next years, because this is a long-term relation when you open an account for the Golden Visa. We have a very efficient and very simple way to open accounts. We send you editable forms for you to fill. We set up a video call with you to help you filling the forms, getting all the information, answering all your questions, and helping you with everything you need regarding the banking account in Portugal. At the same time, because we work with Caiado, Guerreiro, Sara, and the team, they will take care of the documentation for us. So all the documentation that you will need for the applying process, it's the same documentation that we will need to open the account. So the passport, proof of your address, what you do in terms of your job occupation, Sara and the team will certify those copies for us, and they will deliver that in order for us to be able to open your account. You just need to fill the forms, share with us those forms for us to check if everything is okay, of course, and send the forms by courier. And in 2 days, your account will start to be open with also the documents that I spoke regarding Caiado Guerreiro that will certify for us. And in a matter of 3-4 business days, your account will be open and active. I will send you then IBAN with the account number. You will be able to do the transfer of the amount that you want to invest in the fund in the Golden Visa program. At the same time, also, you will receive access to the home banking, so the internet banking access. So you can check your account, you can see the balance of your account, you can do transfers, you can pay for your lawyers here in Portugal, you can pay the taxes that you will have to pay for the Portuguese state in terms of the golden visa application. So it's not only a custody account, but it's also a check account where you can do almost everything. We have a team of 7 people that are very happy to take care of everything. And when your amount, your transfer, your money is in this account, you will be able to do the subscription of the fund. It's a very simple process also. You just need to fill a simple subscription form, send it to us by email, and we'll do the investment. After the investment is done, please, we will send you a declaration to you and to the lawyers stating that the transfer of your amount came from outside Portugal, that today you hold an investment that is eligible for the golden visa, and that declaration will be sent to the lawyers so they can start the applying process. Well, all this that I said from the beginning to the end, that is the declaration, takes 2 weeks, 3 weeks maximum if we work like we usually do in a very efficient way. So once again, thank you very much for attending this webinar. Thank you very much for choosing Portugal. It's a pleasure to have you as our clients. Thank you. And back to you, Francisco. And thanks for being in this presentation.
Thank you very much, Nuno da Rocha Correia. And with this, we finalize our webinar. So thank you very much, you all, and we are ready for the Q&A session. Hi all. I believe you are listening to me. I don't have the camera on. I ask the host to have the possibility to continue with the camera on. Okay. Even without camera, I'll make the questions. The first question is for Nuno Correia. I believe you are listening to me. And the first question is, try to understand. One of the attendees wants to understand how many people have used the fund option so far. So take into account your experience. Can you give a brief answer on this question, please?
Yes, I'm having also problems switching on my cameras. So
be the host to authorize the cameras to log in. And the host, I think, is João, maybe.
Oh, it's Daniel. Daniel, can you please allow the speakers to turn on their cameras?
Oh, yes, I'm doing that right as we speak. I believe
Perfect.
you're already doing that. 1 second.
But nevertheless, I can answer your question, the question of our participant. Yes, so the fund option has been very popular, especially since COVID started in Portugal. So last year, March, people were not able to travel anymore to Portugal to take for houses and properties, and they start to look to other options. Only this year, we have opened more than 350 accounts for the fund option. So 350 clients that will invest and are investing on the fund option. Here, yes, great. Back to the stage. Only this year, more than 350. Last year, around 150. Also, so 500 clients have been applying for the Golden Visa with the fund option. Some of them, I would say that half of them already had their process approved by the authorities, and the process is up and running, and they are just waiting for the interview with CEF. But Sara can explain better on that process of CEF, the authorities that will approve the process. Thank you.
I would just add regarding this question that officially there are in this option around 500 approved processes, but these are the official statistics, which means that considering the delay between the application and the official approval, we should expect that at least 5 times this number should be on the way for this option of investment.
Bison Bank is in terms of market share.
Very good. So, taking advantage that what you just mentioned, Sara, can you please briefly explain what are the main differences between the Portuguese Golden Visa and the Golden Visa of other countries?
So each regime is a regime. In Portugal, we can say that is the fast track to the citizenship because it's only 5 years, while in other countries it's more. We also have more options of investment, which means that we cover more markets and more needs of the investors. In terms of family reunification, our program is also more flexible because we also allowed in one single investment the parents-in-law, and the children, even if they are adults with more than 18 years old. And besides this, we can also do the application for the Golden Visa through a company instead of being in the sole name of the investor or personal name. And we have options of investments that start on the 200 and until the 1 million, which means that it's very flexible and covers different options and different criteria and different areas of investment, which is very good for an investor that has a different background.
Okay. One more question to you. What is the minimum age for investment or to apply for the Golden Visa?
18 years old.
18 years old. Thank you. A question here that I'm sending to asking to António Aranha from Lynx, and another attendee asks, what is the return on the fund, on this specific fund?
Well, this fund, in fact, doesn't have yet any kind of track record, but for B unit shares that are available and specially designed for Golden Visa purposes, the yield is 3%, and is sovereign related to the other investors, which is what it means. It means this is the kind of the class of shares that is less risky than the others. I suppose the answer to is that. Yeah.
Thank you. Another question from the audience is, and then I direct this question to Nuno, which is regarding an attendee from Ghana and asks, what should I do before I apply? Can I have help on this?
Sure. Well, the first thing to do is to have a Portuguese tax number. That's the most important thing, because without that, you are not able to open an account in Portugal, and you are not able to go for the Golden Visa program. So first thing, tax identification in Portugal, the NIF, as it's called here in Portugal. And second thing, to have a legal representative in Portugal that can take care of the certification of your documents, and also can start the application process with the Portuguese authorities. For that, we have Caiado Guerreiro that has a great help on that subject and works with clients from all over the world, and for sure they will welcome you with taking care of the NIF, and also the certification of the documents and the application of this program.
Francisco, I have a statement. I think it's important regarding the age, the minimum age for investment. An 18 years old investor will be very hard to prove his professional classification, or a professional investor. So I would make this remark because experience tells us that it will be hard. If
yeah, sure.
Could it be more clear about that?
Yeah,
and being Villanova addressed to professional investors.
Yeah, but probably here Sara can also help, because there's always a professional investor to this fund, but he also wants then to bring his family, right? So here could be some options to explore in terms of the minimum age. Am I right, Sara?
Yes, so basically in terms of Golden Visa application, even for main applicants, so the investors themselves, the minimum age is 18 years old. Of course, there are funds that are focused on qualified investors, and to be a qualified investor, for sure, you should not have 18 years old. But for other options of investment, or for other options of funds, eventually the 18 years old will work. Also, in terms of family members, we can have a parent that wants to add to the application his daughter or his son that has 20 or 22 or 25 or 28 years old. If they are still single, economically dependent, and if they are still studying, they are eligible and can be added under this sole investment made by, in this case, the parent.
Yeah, thank you. So it's very important to explain this, as Francisco Mendonça from Lynx just said. This fund is fully dedicated to professional investors, and Lynx Asset Managers is totally available to clarify the needs and the minimum requirements to be professional investors. So Francisco Mendonça from Lynx, or António from Lynx, as well as Sara and Nuno from Bison and Caiado can also help, but the selection of the professional investors could be is of huge importance. That's why Lynx will be a big support for that, being this a fund mainly for professional investors. Okay, another question for you, Sara, from the audience is, what are the minimum total fees?
So in terms of planning your investment, you should consider the minimum investments for the Golden Visa. In terms of the fund, this year will be 350,000. From January, it will raise to 500,000. Besides that, you have to consider tax representation and the legal advice. And besides that, you have the fees that you will pay to the immigration office. Roughly, per person in the first year will be around 6,000 euros. In the following years, it's half of that per person. The fund option has no tax impact, so this will be the main cost that you have to consider when preparing your plan.
Very good. Another question we have here, and this question is mainly for, well, I think this question was already answered, but as I can see that there are some continuing to make the same question, which is, how much do we need to invest in Portugal, and what exactly will be the returns in terms of investing? So I believe António already answered this, but can you clarify?
Yes, through this investment option, which is the Villanova Fund, as an investor, you can expect to receive at the end of your investment period 3% on a year basis.
Very good. Very good. Also, a question here from the audience, which is: I have been looking at placing Sun. Does this fund impact any non-habitual resident tax regime? Sara?
So basically, the golden visa or the fund investment have no impact in terms of tax residency, meaning no impact in the NHR. But if you want, you can accumulate the NHR. So if you are a citizen from a third country, you can do the golden visa in order to have the residency right to live in Portugal and to stay in Portugal. And while in Portugal, you can apply for the NHR by having a Portuguese address. That can be a real estate that you purchase or a real estate that you rent, for instance.
Very good. There's another question here, which is, can someone loan you the money to invest? I can answer that. If you got the loan to invest, that's an opportunity that you should explore directly with the financial institution. We, Bison Bank, we do not provide loans currently. Probably in the near future will be a department to do so, but currently we do not do so. But we can help you and indicate financial institutions in Portugal that can provide you the loan for investments. Okay. I'm just seeing if there's more questions to be answered. This is a question here regarding, this question is again for you, Sara. What kind of facilities an investor can get from the government after getting golden visa?
So by having the golden visa, the investor is entitled to the right to live, to study, to work in Portugal, as well as is the same rights for the family members. And besides that, they have also the right to travel in Schengen area for 90 days in a period of 120 and 180.
Good. Just looking if there's more questions to answer. Another question is, a person worked from the government and he is asking that if he can apply for the family. So here again, highlighting what Francisco Mendonça from Lynx mentioned, before he must be a professional. But I asked Sara regarding the family situation, if he can also apply for the family.
Can you repeat the question so I can understand what is
this attendee worked for the government, and he's asking also if he can apply for the family.
So I don't know if he means to have the family doing the golden visa as main applicant or not. Mm-hmm. He can apply because there are no restrictions for being a member of the government. So he can apply directly and be the main applicant and can reunify the family members. Or for some reason he decides not to apply by himself. One of the family members, if it is an adult and has a capacity, economic capacity, can apply by himself.
Okay.
From Lynx's point of view, the main point here on this question is the investor have been part of the government, and it can turn the procedure more complex. We will need more proof of everything. It's considered a public exposed person, so there are some extra procedures, more paper that we need to request, and it's possible, but there will be more things needed. Regarding the family, there is no problem about that. After the investor becomes an investor, he can then apply for the family, like Sara told. So the main point is to guarantee that the public exposed person will be able to prove a lot of things, but it is possible.
A couple of questions, sorry to interrupt, have come through on the chat from some of our Facebook watchers. Could you be so kind to answer them for us, please? I will ask you one of these questions. How long has the fund been in operation?
That's the question for me. As I said in the previous question, the fund, in fact, is starting at this moment. So there is no track record.
Okay, brilliant. A second question we got is, if my family doesn't have the golden visa, do we get a refund?
If it is in terms of taxes, for the immigration office, the taxes are divided into 2 stages. One that is the analysis fee, and the fee for the issuance of the card, that is the biggest amount, will only be due in case of approval. So there are no loss in terms of investment fee, in terms of the taxes that are paid to the government, because the big amount is only paid after the approval.
Okay, thank you, Sara. Another question.
Danielle, I'm sorry, there's one thing we cannot forget, that the investor is investing in a way that he can have to apply for a golden visa. So if the golden visa doesn't happen, is not given, there is no reason why the investment should be refunded. Did I make myself clear?
Yes, I believe so. We're just going to go on to the next question because we will be shortly running out of time.
Okay.
Can you tell us about the D7 visa, please?
The D7 visa, it's a different option in terms of comparing to the golden visa. It's for passive income holders, or for retired people, or for people that are eventually doing a religious activity in Portugal. So basically, the process starts abroad in the Portuguese consulate of their residency area, and they have to prove that for some passive aspects, they receive income, regardless their activity or their profession, and that income is available in Portugal and that they can use to sustain their life in Portugal. So we are here speaking about pensions, dividends, interests, cryptocurrency, for instance. So all the economic resources that they can have without performing a business or professional activity in terms of active status. So also, for instance, I'm remembering real estate rents from any other countries will be qualified for that.
Okay, thank you, Sara. Also, another question we just had, does the money have to be transferred from a AAA ranking bank, or can Western Union be sufficient?
Yeah, the transfer can be made from any bank anywhere in the world, and using also international platforms like TransferWise.
Brilliant, thank you. What happens if the golden visa gets scrapped like Cyprus?
So Cyprus was a different situation because they had some legality issues. The Portuguese law is very clear. So we can say that the Portuguese law is objective enough to protect investors and to protect the system. But of course, if something happens, the investors always have the right to go to the courts to request the government to protect their interests in Portugal and their residency rights.
Lovely, thank you. A couple of questions. Some people want to know a little bit more about Bison Bank. So a question we had was, is it true that Bison Bank took over a Brazilian financial institution? I think people just want a bit more history regarding Bison Bank.
Yeah, thank you. Well, regarding this question, Bison Bank did not took over a Brazilian financial institution, but Bison Bank took over a Portuguese banking license that had investment arm in Brazil. But we did not bought that investment arm. We just bought the license, the universal banking license. We did not bought that subsidiary of the bank, the previous bank. We bought this license because this was an opportunity for Bison Group in order to diversify the holding structure of the group. And this is also a bank that has a huge international skill. By being based in Portugal, we can reach clients from all over the world, and also clients from the Portuguese-speaking countries. And we have a multicultural team here in Portugal. Our main language and the language that we use to communicate between each other and on all the clients is the main language is English. So as you can see here, the culture is international. We have people from different countries working with us, mainly from Asia also, because it's part of our DNA. But Bison Bank is a bank that, in the name Bison as a bank, has a 4 years history, but the license that we bought and the expertise that we bought is more than 21 years expertise. So this is one of the advantage that Bison Bank has. And we are a bank totally focused on doing partnerships with the asset managers, with the international investors. We have a lot of skill for that, and also important to highlight is that although we are a new brand here in Portugal, we are more and more known internationally, and this is also an advantage for Bison Bank.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Francisco. Another attendee has asked us, what penalties are at play for existing funds after 5 years?
I'm sorry?
Sorry. An attendee wants to know what penalties are at play for existing funds after 5 years.
Yeah, it's for António. And if the client exits after 5 years from the fund, is there any penalty?
So there are no penalties at all. As I mentioned on presentation, after having your residency here in Portugal, with 1 year of pre-advice, you can ask for an exit of your investment.
Okay, I understand now. I think another question we received on Facebook was somebody wrote, I was advised we need to be physically present to open an account as we can't travel due to COVID. I think people wanted to know, is this true or not?
No, this is more for Nuno in order to, it's more requirements regarding the account opening, right?
Excuse me?
Sorry, I will repeat the question for you, Nuno. A customer, one of our attendees wrote in and said, I was advised we need to be physically present to open an account as we can't travel due to COVID. A bank account.
It's not needed to be present here in Portugal to open the account. We can do that remotely. What we do is we send the forms, the account opening forms to you where you are. We will schedule a video call and we will help you with the forms and on answering all the questions that you may have regarding the Portuguese financial system, the kind of accounts that we have in Portugal, all the process. And you will send the forms signed and initialed by you by DHL to Portugal. And with the help of Caiado Guerreiro, they will certify the copies of the documents that we need for the account opening, like the passport, proof of address, proof of your professional occupation. With that, we will open your account without you to bother to come to Portugal. We can do that remotely.
I think it's a basically just thank you for that insight, Nuno. I think people just want to know, as obviously due to COVID, and do people need to go to the consulate in order to get these visas? But because of COVID, a lot of embassies and consulates are closed.
No, we don't need that because as we work with Caiado Guerreiro, they will certify the copies of the documents for us. We don't need to have those documents apostille or notarized.
Brilliant, thank you. I'm just seeing if we've got any other questions coming in.
Just to add, if you don't mind, that besides the consulates, there are alternatives. So the Portuguese lawyers can certify when they see the originals and they are with the client. There are also the apostille services, and particularly in our case, that we have lawyers in different countries, we can meet the clients and provide this service in order to help the client to open the bank account remotely.
Oh, thank you, Sara. I think some people are confused with the source of funds. Can they gift that, or does that have to be presented?
Well, a gift, I wouldn't say a gift is the best way. I would say if you can turn the gift into a legal document, a loan between a family member, but in heritage, it is possible for, I saw the question actually, in heritage, it is possible. Actually, it's a very good way to prove the origin of the funds. The only thing we will need a proof of that in heritage. That's the only thing.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. One of the questions we just came in was, are there any investment opportunities in the hospitality sector? I think what they mean is what is going to happen now after COVID in terms of investing into certain sectors?
Well, I suppose that question is for me, but in fact, this kind of fund is based on the health sector. Probably one of these days we can launch a new one based on hospitality, but at the moment we don't have this kind of product.
Oh, okay, thank you, Antonio. But we just want to know as well, how is COVID infecting your projections?
Well, I suppose in terms of risk of investment, I don't know, but it is mainly for scientists. But as a risk, I saw any opportunities based on this sector due to every diseases, even with COVID, because I don't know if to stay in this kind of residences is more risky or stay alone at home without nobody is less risky. In my point of view, I would prefer if I would when I get aged or I will prefer to stay in this kind of residences instead of being alone by myself at my home. So I suppose it is a good opportunity.
Absolutely, I'm sure we all will agree on that. I think that's time for Q&A now. I think we've done quite a bit of talking. If I'll take this over to you, Francisco.
Yeah, I think there's a final question here. It's important to be answered. And the question is regarding the developer of the fund or developer of the senior health units. What is the track record of this developer, António? You mentioned that the fund just kicked off, which is normal in the venture capital fund, but the developer of the senior health units, he has a lot of experience, right?
Yes, we know this developer. Me personally, I work with them since 2005, and I have nothing to say more than we have elected them to help us to develop this kind of business.
We have some more questions. I believe that we are running out of time, right? But we are very pleased to answer the remaining questions. You can send emails to all of us. We can share the contacts. So if everyone agrees, it was a huge pleasure to have this webinar with you. We have a lot of questions, which is important. We had a lot of assistance, and Bison Bank and Lynx and Caiado Guerreiro, I believe we are all waiting for your contacts and help you whatever you need.
Thank you, Francisco, for hosting the webinar. It was a pleasure to participate, and feel free to get back to us with any questions or doubts as you have, so that you can provide you the full and tailored advice you need. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francisco, for this opportunity. It was a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, thank you all, and do not forget Villanova Venture Capital Fund. It's an alternative with 350K to have access to the Golden Visa with the support of Caiado, Guerreiro, Lynx, and Bison Bank. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.